Post the Second World War, West Germany had a flourishing economy, with the automobile being perhaps the single most recognizable product. Leading the revolution was Volkswagen with its Beetle. But by the 1970s, Beetle was obsolete and the oil crisis was pressuring all automakers into building more fuel efficient cars. To replace the 4-decade old Beetle, Volkswagen introduced the Golf hatchback in 1974. At the time, India wasn't heavy on automobiles, so Volkswagens were nowhere to be seen, of course. Time passed, and by 1990, in another part of Europe, USSR, and along with it, the entire Eastern Bloc were collapsing. The need of the hour dictated the privatization of Czechoslovakia's state owned automaker, Škoda. The West German giant Volkswagen leapt at the opportunity to acquire Škoda. USSR's collapse also led to crises in India, which forced us into globalization in 1991. About a decade later, in 2002, India got the Volkswagen Golf. If that sounds unfamiliar, it's because Volkswagen extended the back, redesigned the fascia, and marketed it instead as a premium sedan, the Škoda Octavia. That's right. India's beloved executive sedan that doubles as an entry level sports car derives its genes from the Golf. So while you were busy fantasizing Golf GTIs, wise people out there gobbled up Škoda Octavias and Volkswagen Jettas. This history lesson here was unsolicited, I know, but I believe it provides the necessary backdrop to appreciate the Škodavius Octavius, my 2019 Škoda Octavia style 1.4 TSI manual. In my 2 months of ownership, I have incessantly appreciated its functional yet appealing design. The split LEDs illuminate sufficiently, although a manual leveler would have been much appreciated. But hey, headlight washers for the win. The long and wide silhouette allows for more space than is usually necessary, easily fitting a party of 5 and lots of luggage in the lift back hatch. Yet, no rear wipers unlike the European versions. The spaciousness continues up front, under the bonnet, as my tiny 1.4 TSI engine leaves void for 1.8 and 2-liter engines. Hydraulic struts here would have been convenient. Since practicality is one of Škoda's USPs, there are ergonomic storage spaces near the steering, a deep one under the armrest, 3 cup holders here, a quaint little deck under this brushed aluminum slider, which you can place your phone on top of too, and an adequately sized glove box with this ancient SD card mold, originally meant for CDs and DVDs. Up back, only a small pocket here, and 2 door-mounted bottle holders that disappointingly can't fit a standard 1-liter bottle. That is perhaps because you can always retrieve your water tanker on the fly by flipping open forward your rear center armrest. As a matter of fact, you can fold this entire row down for when you're transporting a tanker with the entire town's water supply. On top, the parcel shelf demonstrates utility with these undulations that prevent objects from rolling over. After you spend an hour storing objects in each of Octavia's bountiful storage compartments, you finally realize you must start driving to reach your destination. So, you sit down and adjust your seat and mirrors electronically for position, height, pitch, and lumbar support. The steering wheel is strangely low, you might observe, but you get used to it. You then depress the brakes to turn on electronics and plug in your phone to a perfectly functional Android Auto. And Led Zeppelin's Kashmir with excellent soundstage starts playing, so you know the next 9 minutes will engage your senses. You depress the clutch and brake simultaneously, and the turbo petrol 4-pot rises to life. Rev as you like, but it's limited to 4,000 miles stationary. But now, it's time for a launch. Rev to 4,000 RPM, let go of the clutch, and throttle up. 1, go. 80, 100, 120. I haven't driven very many unique cars, but this is the best one in my experience so far. I could hypothetically be comfortable cruising even at 200 kilometers an hour. I've been told the brakes don't do justice to the car, but I'm yet to experience a situation where brakes limit my overall performance, so I can't qualify that statement. I'd classify my high profile 205 55 16-inch Bridgestone Sturdo tires as the first limitation to the car's performance. Climbing up from a standstill, harsh acceleration compromises traction, triggering traction control. This happens regularly while harshly accelerating in the first two gears on a loose surface, but that's to be expected. On these corners, Octavia's displays confident elegance. Upslope, accelerate judiciously and you'll likely flawlessly overtake almost anything else, slow so long as you maintain grip. The power ensures climbing momentum. Uphill starts, however, get trickier. The torque is next to none below 1700 rpm, and that shows. In fact, the spike in torque at that point violently vibrates the entire car for a fraction of a second. But that is likely amplified by my aged mounts. Off road, which is a surprisingly common occurrence living in India, the firm suspension still allows a comfortable ride, though I would assume not as well as, say, a Corolla Altis. Instances of underbody scraping are surprisingly rare for a car only 155 millimeters high, unless you're riding with load. I'd call that a testament to the well suited shock absorbers. In city traffic, the Octavia doesn't make you regret getting a manual. The clutch is articulate but not heavy enough to cause a sore knee. The short throw MQ350 transmission is a key defining feature of the driving experience. In fact, the shifts were one of the primary hooks behind my purchase decision. Moving to fuel efficiency, the small engine helps your drives stay frugal, as you fetch at least 10 kilometers a liter even in Gurgaon's city traffic. Move to highways, and even spirited driving gets you 14 kilometers a liter, while economical cruising manages upwards of 16 kilometers a liter. With driving covered, I presume the question of cost arises. So far, I've spent 15,000 on a service from a non-Škoda garage. Soon after the purchase, one of the ABS sensors and the steering angle sensor went kaboot, so I had it replaced for 9,000 rupees. Other than that, mechanics and common driving sense reveal only the mounts needing replacement for a cost of about 20,000. I'd say the costs have stayed controlled so far, but the internet warns me of the timing chain whooping after 1 lakh kilometers, and of course, clutch and shockers needing replacement every few years. Americans, Australians, and Europeans might find amusing my excitement over what's basically an econobox for y'all, but the developing world is magnitudes below wealthy nations in automotive standards. Volkswagen cars are some of the finest drivers' cars that most people can feasibly own here. And just owning an Octavia, even if it's the smallest displacement one, is thrilling for me, who, as a kid, loved the Golf GTI Mark IV and NFS Underground 2. I'm getting a stage 1 tune promptly after this video, so stay tuned if you're interested there. Lastly, if you have any feedback, suggestion, opinion, request, critique, or anything of the sort, I welcome discussions in the comments, my Instagram page, and my Team-BHP DMs and forums. So do reach out. Škodavius Octavius signing off.